Elvin, sometimes I compare myself with other great programmers who get depressed because I'm far away from their level. I know I shouldn't be comparing because they grew up in different environments, and I know for sure I can reach their level if I apply myself and learn quick, but sometimes it just gets to me and I feel bad about it. Have you ever felt that way? Any tips on how to overcome it? Um, I guess I don't know if I've ever felt that way. I don't think so. I don't think I've ever felt that way. Um, I guess what I would say is there's obviously any particular thing, some of it is nature and some of it's nurture, right? And you got whatever genetics you got in terms of your ability to understand code and to be a good coder and whatever. Like, if whatever was up there is up there, right? And so that part's fixed and you can't change it. So the part that you can affect is how hard you work at it, right? And so I would say that the majority of the of what you want to do is just make sure that you program a lot every day. And if you do that, you know that you will at least reach your own potential, right? Um, and I don't really know what to say about it other than that. There's no sense in getting depressed about it either way. I know this was the depression stream, so I should be saying something like in character and depressing, but in actuality, I don't want to say anything depressing about that because I feel like really what you want to do is approach it in that way. You want to basically go like, look, I got whatever I got in terms of natural talent for this, and the rest of what determines how much interesting stuff I'll do in my programming career is just how hard I work at it. Because comparing yourself on an absolute scale to someone else, like someone else may have been born with a better programming brain than you, right? That's just the truth. It could be possible, right? But who cares? It doesn't matter. There's not some ranking of programmers that's like there's no Olympics for programming, and even if there was, it wouldn't matter, right? Um, your ranking among where you are in programming is not really relevant. What you were able to accomplish in your career is what's relevant, and on a more personal level, whether you enjoy it is what's relevant, right? Those are the two things, whether you get satisfaction out of it and whether or not you accomplish something interesting. That's what's actually matters. And the chances that you're not smart enough to do programming that matters is pretty low. I think, if you're able to follow anything on Handmade Hero, you're probably at a point, and I've seen you ask a lot of questions. You're obviously thinking about this stuff a lot. So I feel like the chances that you don't have enough gray matter in there to make it work is low. And so what's much more likely is not working hard enough at it and not doing enough to try and, not writing enough code. And so then you never actually, do much. And it's worth noting that most programmers will never really do anything particularly interesting, right? Because they just don't work that hard. They'll like go in and like read Facebook all day, and they're like, twiddled some PHP code and imported some library so that like Facebook's like GIF resizer could resize like an animated cat or something, right? Like, a lot of people just aren't picking interesting projects. They're not dedicating themselves to them. They're spending a lot of time at the ping pong table or whatever else, right? And so just being diligent and picking interesting projects to try and actually, applying yourself to try and solve an interesting problem is already putting yourself ahead of like most of the people who call themselves programmers. Most of the people who call themselves programmers are just trying to figure out how to get like a high-paying web job or something, like they just want to like do that. And so, you don't have to be even the world's smartest programmer in the world. You just have to apply yourself, and I think you're in good shape there. That's what I think anyway. But I don't know. I mean, I have no idea. I can't tell you that it took me a long time to be a good programmer, for whatever that means. Like for me to consider myself a good programmer, when I started programming when I was 7, I didn't know what was going on, and like I had to call my dad in when I had bugs because I didn't know like how to fix them, and it takes a long time. So the other thing I guess I would say is don't be discouraged if you've only been programming for a few years and you're not great at it yet, well, neither was anybody else. I don't know anybody who like just sat down and like, 6 months in was a great programmer. I don't think that's possible. I think programming is very much a linguistic kind of endeavor, and much like there's nobody who picked up and speaks fluent Japanese within 6 months, you don't speak fluent C in 6 months. It's a long process, and when you're talking about getting to the level of fluency to create something, you're talking about learning a language and then writing a novel, right? And if you were to think about how long it would take you to like pick up a language you don't know and then write a great book in that language, it's a fantastic number of years, right? I mean, that's just a long time. And so I think you should make sure you don't have unrealistic expectations about your ability to program and for how long you've spent on it and so on. So.